الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أفضل الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد قال الله تعالى والذين إذا أنفقوا لم يسرفوا ولم يقتروا وكان بين ذلك قواما صدق الله العظيم. Continuing upon the qualities of Ibad al-Rahman that we began today, the fifth quality is that of being moderate in your spending. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ بَيْنَ ذَلِكَ قَوَامًا. That when the Ibad al-Rahman, their quality is that when they spend, they're not extravagant, at the same time they are not stingy, but they are moderate between the two. And this is one of the khasa'il and one of the characteristics of Ibad al-Rahman. Israf and overspending or being extravagant does not only apply to wealth, even though this is the more common understanding, is that a person is overspending in terms of their wealth and their material belongings, but it could happen in many other things. Allama Shabbir Ahmad Uthmani, rahmatullahi alayhi, one of the great scholars of the subcontinent, he mentions in regards to al-israf, that he says anything that has to do with sin, is automatically israf even if you spend a penny inside of it. Even if it's a minute amount, but you're spending it towards a ma'siyah, then it is already israf. On the other hand, he continues on to say that if something, like when it comes to eating, if you overeat or if you undereat, not adequate enough that it nourishes your body, or you eat in a time where you're not supposed to eat, all of these things, anything that is done in a place where it's not supposed to be done, this is israf. To easily understand, israf in our deen is in three different places. Number one, israf is something that is done where you are engaged in the ma'asiyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you spend your time, your money, your effort, whatever it is, in something that is haram, automatically this is israf. Number two, israf is when you spend in something that is halal but you go overboard. This is also israf. And number three is when you are doing something that is halal and you're doing something that is maybe even an ibadah, but you are doing it for other than the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is also israf. All three of these places are israf. Now from this lens, if we look at our lives, we see how much extravagance we have committed and we have done in our lives. Israf is done in our food, israf is done in our events, our weddings that we have. Every single event that we have, we see that how much we are extravagant in regards. And we'll come back to that. On the other hand, the flip side of that is al-bakhil, someone who is stingy, that you do not spend where you're supposed to spend. And this is also something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, that lam yusrifu wa lam yaqturu. And they are between the both of them, that they don't hold back when they're supposed to be given. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that خصلتان لا تجمعان في المؤمن البخل وسوء الخلق. That there are two qualities that don't gather inside of a mu'min. One is miserliness, stinginess, and the other is that bad character. So a person should always understand that there are some places in the Sharia where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to spend. And we see this is the opposite in our society. A person is very, very generous with his friends. But when it comes to spending on his family, he is bakhil. When it comes to spend on those that he's supposed to be spending on, he's bakhil. Young people, the youth, that when you go out with your friends, you go on holiday, you go on a trip somewhere, mashallah, always on the forefront to pay. And now all the friends know that, mashallah, this guy is very, very generous. But at home, he's living in his parents' home, mashallah, he's working, he's making good money, and he does not contribute to anything. This is that bukhl, that a person should have this ihsas, that I'm supposed to be spending over here and I don't. On the other hand, you don't go overboard. So we need to be very, very careful. We need to be very, very moderate when it comes to our spending. Our weddings that we have is one of the greatest avenues of israf that we have in society in general. You just take an account of it. Any of our haflat that we have, we go so overboard. They say on a lighter note that the son asks the father, Dad, how much does it cost to get married? I'm trying to get married. He says, Beta, I don't know. I'm still paying for it. I'm still paying for my wedding. This is how it is. Just somebody from this, somebody who left this community, he mentioned to me, we were having this discussion one time. He said, somebody that he knew, when they got married, their father sold their own properties that they had for the wedding, and on top of that took a loan. Just for one night or 2 nights or 3 nights, whatever the tradition is, according to that, to have all of the decorations and the food and the buffet system and all of the lavish, expenses that come along with that. For those 2, 3, 4 nights of partying and celebrating, he sold his properties, his house or his apartment that he had. On top of that, he took a loan also. And how do you expect your marriage to be blessed when you're starting it off on the wrong foot? Number one, so many things that are wrong with this. Number one, you're spending it in the ma'siyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What do you think happens at the weddings? Do you think they're making dhikr and reading the Quran? Right? Completely, you see in weddings, mashallah, people who are mutadayyinin, people who are very practicing. People on the other hand are mashallah very attached to their deen. But when it comes to a wedding, you see the complete opposite of a person. And it's not because this person wants to do it, but it's the pressure from the family. It's the pressure from the extended family, from the other side. Imagine if your marriage is based on haram, or the ma'siyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then how do you expect this marriage to be blessed? If your marriage is based on the ma'siyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you began this chapter of your life by disobeying Allah azza wa jal, how do you expect that this is going to last? Illa ma sha Allah. أعظم النكاح بركة أيسره مؤونة. The best of the nikah is the one that is done with the most simplicity. So we should be very, very careful. A person, those of us, the young guys who are going to be getting married soon, take that step. I know it's very cultural pressure and family pressure, especially from the females of the family. In our culture, that's where the pressure comes from. That the women, they want a big hafla, a big azima, a big wedding. And because of that, there is the pressure, especially when it's the son. So you need to be strong. That yes, there's nothing wrong with feeding. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was not just an example for poor people. Neither was he just an example for rich people. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was an example for all walks of life. So we see the Prophet alayhi salatu wa salam, he did his walima on lahm. And he did his walima also on just milk and dates. He did his walima on something that is heavy, meaning that he sacrificed at the time of one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, I believe it was Zainab bint Jahsh radiallahu anha. On her wedding, he sacrificed animals and he fed meat for his walima. And in other weddings of his, he had a more simple. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, our deen does not say that you don't celebrate or you don't feed. But the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying over here, don't go overboard. The point I mentioned, and this is something I see a lot of young guys over here also, and this is something that really bothers me sometimes when the parents, they complain. Whether video games is something that is halal, haram, you should ask a mufti about this. Okay? And here, let's go into the point that I want to make. When I said spending money in the ma'siyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if it is 1 penny, is haram. Okay? People spend hundreds of dollars on games, like online games. Somebody was telling, I know somebody personally, this is in a different country, that he was married and he has a child on the way, the wife is pregnant, and he got addicted to one of these games, PUBG, I think that's a game right now. And he spent a fortune. I guess, I've never played the game before, but I guess you need to buy like some stuff in the game so that you can level up or something. I don't know exactly how it works. He spent and spent and spent until he realized he's drowning in debt. He doesn't have the money to pay for it. And then all of a sudden he starts lashing out on his family. And he tells his wife, I'm going to divorce you. And everyone is concerned that what happened? Is he gone crazy? What happened to him? Finally, down the line, it turns out he left his job, he left everything. Finally, you find out the parents and the father, mashallah, is a very practicing person. You find out that he is drowning in debt. And then, poor family, so they ask the neighbors and people around, and if somebody can donate and help and get him out of this debt, and people help. Imagine the embarrassment that you put your family through. Why? Because of a video game. Now you tell me, you ask yourself, is this halal or is this haram? Is this something that you will not be asked about in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And people do this for a lot of different, for online video games, to buy a nice shield, to buy a sword. I remember when I was younger, there was RuneScape. I don't even know if people play that anymore. Club Penguin. So just to get like a new skin or something, you're paying $5, $6. And by the time $5, $6 doesn't seem much to you, but by the time you finish, you spent $100, $200, $300. It is ridiculous. And this is definitely israf. And this is something that definitely for every single penny of that, you'll be asked in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So both of these avenues, the young people who are into video gaming and to gaming, we need to be, maybe use it as a means of entertainment for a little bit. It should not be something that you dive into. And whether it is permissible, not permissible, I'm not going to give you the answer on that. You ask a mufti on your own if you're very concerned about this. But spending the money and the parents who let them spend the money, you will be asked in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for these things. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the proper understanding. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in another ayah of the Quran that وَلَا تَجْعَلْ يَدَكَ مَغْلُولَةً إِلَىٰ عُنُقِكَ وَلَا تَبْسُطْهَا كُلَّ الْبَسْطِ. Don't make your hand attached with your throat, meaning that you are so stingy that your hand, like you're holding back. What you're supposed to spend, you don't spend. One of the number one reasons of marriages breaking up is financial issues. And one of them is the husband becomes stingy with the wife. Everything, okay, I paid half of this, you pay half of that. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Be generous with your family. Have an open hand. Don't be extravagant, but be generous with them. There should be hadaya, there should be gifts, there should be, you should feel proud as a man that I'm providing for my family. Unfortunately, this is a situation now that people are living their marital life as roommates. They're living as if they are roommates. I bought the pizza, we go half on the pizza. Wallahi, this is something that I found very puzzling. Like when I see this in relationship, it's very weird for me. You bought a $10 pizza, okay, you owe me $5 for this. You're husband and wife. What are you doing? Khair, your finances are your own issue. That's not something, I'm not saying whether this is right or wrong. It's just something that hit me. But when a person becomes stingy like this, then you're looking for problems. Then you're looking for issues in your relationship. Khair, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those that are moderate. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. We are a moderate nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us ummatan wasata. So we should make decisions of moderation. Don't go overboard. They say in English, anything in excess is harmful. Anything in excess is harmful. So inshallah, broccoli is healthy. Doctor is here, you can ask him, broccoli is healthy to eat. But if you eat only broccoli for the entire day, you're going to have an issue. Water is healthy, but if you drink water overboard, you'll have water poisoning, right? And so anything that you do in excess, whether it is good, whether it is bad, it is going to be harmful. That's why we should be moderate in everything that we do. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us from amongst those that are moderate in our finances, in our spending, in all of the aspects of our life. وآخر دعوانا